Adele was also a part of this movement. Gladden was the person that painted the Black Madonna. And Gladden was a hell of an artist. We had to also organize and get him out of the country after the Detroit Rebellion. And sooner or later, we were constantly organizing and trying to get his family to be able to join him because he had moved to, where did he say? Sweden, yeah. To Sweden. And so Glenn became a political figure over there, an ambassador pretty much for Sweden, you know, but his family finally moved over there. And you can probably go see the Black Madonna. And the picture is still there at the church on Lindenwood. It's a beautiful picture. I mean, it's from the ceiling to the floor. And it became we had a lot of problems with that at that time because the power to be didn't want no Black Mary to be shown nowhere in the United States. And for him to have the audacity of painting this in a church and then opening it up to the community to be able to see it was a little beyond what they had ever imagined. At the same time, a little time after that, during the rebellion, some of the people in the community painted the Jesus Christ figure that was in front of the Catholic Church there on 12th Street black. They painted back white the next day to be back black. So finally they gave it up and left it black. So, you know, people began to take a stand. And the situation was beginning to change. We had gone from the civil rights movement, and we didn't mention this, but during the same time that we were participating in the civil rights movement, they were industrialized in the South at that time. Factories were being built. And it was like counterproductive to what at that time the capitalists needed in order to expand their industry at that time. They didn't need Jim Crowism to be able to help them to make these factories expand and what have you. Because it was more money for them to build with a colored restroom, a white restroom, one for women, one for men and stuff. They didn't need that type of working class at the time. So therefore, the civil rights movement was working right along with it. And we didn't know at that time. All we knew was that we were fighting for our rights to be able to have the ability to register to vote. And I'm telling you, if I brought that form in here now, none of you would pass. Because they made it difficult, not only for blacks at that time, anybody in any section of the working class, they didn't want to be able to have that ability to vote at that time. So the situation was changing from that. The conditions, because people were getting jobs, and so therefore there was a move to the community more so, and organizing in the communities. And I started working for the West Central organization, Saul Alinsky-led type of organization. And there was some fighting going on even with Saul and that type of stuff. But we fought for housing around Wayne State. There were 5 different areas that Wayne State, the city had rezoned for the purpose for Wayne State to use. University City 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it was all laid out at Wayne State for the public to see it. They were quite proud of folks to see it. But it was to remove all these workers that was not needed. They no more. You know, like they had needed us at one time. And so those workers had worked all their lives to probably leave for their family a house. And they had received letters that their houses had been appraised by the condemnation court. And they had to accept the order or turn around and pay rent on the same houses that they had already paid for. So the West Central organization took that fight up. And I mean, it was a hell of a fight. We had organized the Catholics. We had organized, a lot of those priests came out and began to get active. We had organized the block clubs, the youth, and all. And those of us that were arrested, like Jenna said, and I'll tell you in a minute, but we were facing 7 years in the federal penitentiary for putting stairs on a vacant house that we said we're going to move a family back in here. And we had to fight that. We really won that case in the street, and I'm organizing, you know, and taking people into the court. And so it was 3 women. And the rest were all men that were arrested at that time. But it was once we won, it was a joy for the community. And so we ended up saving Research Park that they had designated for Wayne State to be a research area. So it's been a constant fight even in that community to be able to have adequate and quality homes for people to be able to go to work and come back and still have something. And the fight continues, because it's a different fight today than what it was when we were doing all that. And if you're going to understand what that is, you're going to have to start studying, like we were told, to find out what are the conditions and what is the strategy and tactics that you're going to need in order to carry through your goal. So that's where we've been out here. We've been proud to be able to have these are just 2 of them. Okay, that's the second one right there. And that's the baby of the 5 that we told you about. Then the other 3 are in school. And then we have our 6 grandchildren.
Wow.
And quite a few other folks we've raised and stuff.
Let me, usually sometimes when we talk like this, and she talks about the work she did, I talk about my work, we leave a big section out.
Oh, yeah.
And the section I want to mention is the high school students and stuff. See, we could have never organized a factory if it had not been for the high school students that come and help. And let me tell you, when we first started, we used a little flyer like this. This was the drum paper there, and we used to put one of these out every Tuesday. We would not miss it. Every Tuesday we would put one of these out. At Dodge, Maine, our distribution was about 5,000. There was 10,000 workers at Dodge, Maine.
Wow.
See, this plant was huge. Dodge, Maine was 7 stories high. It ran all the way from Joseph Compton to Conant. If somebody worked on the 7th floor, on the back end, you didn't know what was going on the first floor, on the other end. My father worked on the 7th floor on the other end. I worked on the 3rd floor, and we never knew what was going on in the various departments. So we figured that what we needed was to get a newsletter that could unite everybody in this plant over the same issues. Because you have a wildcat strike over here, and people walk out, and people on the back end are affected, and they walk out too, but they don't know what the issue was, and it gets lost. So we used this little organizing tactic to organize that plant with. But when we went out there to pass out the plant on the first leaflet, the company would come out with cameras and things, taking pictures of the workers that was doing the distribution, and they would try to use that to harass and discipline those workers. Except me, they fired me so fast that I was fired before we got the first one friend. But we was working with these high school kids, and they come up and said, look, we'll go out and pass out the flyers for you. You know, we don't work there. They can't do nothing to us. So what happened was that we would go and pick them up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, and we would go out to the plant, and they would pass out the flyers for us. And this became our routine. And when other workers came forward and wanted to organize, we would offer them and say, listen, we got paper, we got ink, and we got kids that'll help you distribute. You know, so that was our organizing program. When we had the 25th anniversary of drum and a meeting, and we let these kids came and they had their forum. What they did, they took the format we was using and started developing these newsletters for the schools. So they had all kind of little, you got to see it. I think the principal at Northern High, they call it what, High Yellow Hitler. Yeah, High Yellow Hitler and all kinds. Boy, look, the kids went on the nut. they told us at that meeting that they had, organized, 16 high schools, 9 junior highs, and 3 elementaries. They had done that kind of organizing work, and we so busy doing what we doing, we hadn't even paid much attention to what they were doing, but they was using the same organizing tool inside the schools, and they built a whole united front effort in the school system at the same time we were building the factory and building the community.
Well, these two have to go back and work.
Okay, all right, take care.
Right, thank you.
All right. But anyway, I just want, oftentimes that group gets left out when we talk. Sometimes we like to bring them forward, let them speak for themselves.
Boy,
They was
they deserve
military.
it, man. Look at them. But these kids have been on the front line with us ever since they were little bitty kids. All of them had to attend all the time with their children. Solidarity Day. They be in wagons, strollers, and walking down the streets. One of the first day, and they had to attend too. So, you know, it's a way for them to learn and let them understand that you got to begin to do something and give back to the community also. And we're always proud of it. But, and it's up to you now. And Charles.
I think Charles is going to start with a question.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, boy, where to start? I mean,